Hey everybody, it's Lebo with Lebo's Pinball, and as you can see, we finally got some parts in. Woohoo! All right, so some stuff that we've been waiting on that's been kind of holding up a little bit of the work here on the playfield, the upper area. Now we don't have any excuse to really get rolling on this. So as you saw in our last video, we changed out the stand-up targets. I kept calling them drop targets. Stand-up targets. Drop targets are a different thing. It's when you hit the target and it drops. These stay standing up. And we got faces on all of them now. They're all seven of them have been replaced. They look really nice. So we want to kind of complete that out by uh, taking it a little bit further. We're going to put in new posts. Every one of the posts, there's, golly, I didn't count them all. I've ordered 50 of them, which is probably more than I need. But I think there may have been more around 45 or a little bit more on this. So we're going to replace all those because we got to take these plastics off to go replace all the bands, and we're going to put silicone bands in. Also going to go ahead and change out the incandescent bulbs. We'll be putting LEDs in, putting all that back together. Also, while we've got it apart, we'll got the plastics and everything out. That'll allow us to kind of get in closer to really clean the play field and polish things and get it looking nice. But not only are we replacing the posts, we'll also be replacing all these lane guides. We got one that's a little bit longer over here, and then there's 6 up here that are all, I think, that inch and a half. I think that's kind of a common size. And even the pop bumper caps. Not this main part here, but the actual top part. So let's get that done. We'll see how it looks. And if we got some time, then we're gonna go up here actually in the back box. I've got some bulbs for that too, and we'll hopefully make a nice dramatic difference. So here we go. We're gonna start out here on this plastic, taking these nuts off, getting that plastic off, and then we'll actually go ahead and take the rubber band off and get actually down to the post. Now to get these plastics off, or I'm sorry, to get the nuts off, there's a little tool here that's kind of nice to have sometimes. The metal post or stud really that goes up through this. It'll have usually like a 1/4 inch uh, spot that you could put this little thin little wrench in, and that helps to kind of hold that steady, so that when you're unscrewing the nut, the top, if the whole thing were loose, the whole thing would just be kind of spinning around, and you wouldn't be able to get off as easy. So, anyways, it's nice to have. These little acorn nuts typically are not really as much of an issue really getting loose, but sometimes on other games that have different kinds of nuts on here that can be a little bit tighter, having this little wrench underneath is pretty handy. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this band off. We could have pulled that band off actually with the plastic still on, but since I'm going to need to get all the way down here to take these studs out, I went ahead and did this. Plus, it allow us to really get in here and clean things and kind of check the gap on some other switches. Let's go ahead and take these out. And other things to kind of note, which side, this one's just got a regular screw. These are the studs, and it needs to be that way because when you put the plastic on, it's only got 2 holes. So you just have to kind of either take a picture or just keep an eye out on how you're taking them apart and how things need to go back. I'll take these all off, and let's see, get this last one. We'll set all these parts over to the side. While we've got this out, we'll go ahead and clean this area and then put new bulbs in and start putting it back. All right, with a little bit of Novus number 2, let's start seeing what we can do to kind of clean and polish out some of the area all around through here, and just being careful not to go bending up these switches and make life a pain to try to get them straightened back out. As far as how tight do you tighten up the gap on the switches, well, you'll figure it out. And what I mean by that is if you tighten them up too much, what you'll notice is that when you get the game going, whenever you have a ball that hits one of these slings, it'll do what you call like a machine gun effect. So it'll be bouncing like crazy, just sort of uncontrollably, because what happens is that When it bounces, it hits the switch. And when you hit the switch, it fires the coil, which then causes the band to then bounce and switch back, and then it hits the switch again, and which fires the coil. And then you're in a repeat cycle, and it's really kind of a I don't know, kind of dramatic or whatever. All right, just sitting here talking and trying to clean this up and focus as I'm doing this. But really, the idea is just get in here, get it clean, and that was definitely the time to do it when you got stuff that's kind of out of the way. We'll actually really kind of look at maybe those switches a little bit later. Well, no, I'll probably go ahead and take something to kind of clean them a little bit. There's a little tool that I've got that's a special tool I got from Pinball Resource that's made for cleaning these contacts. You slip it down there. It's just abrasive. So you use that to clean it, but I usually go back with like a little strip of like a postcard and put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on it, and then I will hold that there to kind of run it over there and just clean it up some more. Seems like between the two, that seems to do a good job. So as I'm putting this all back together, I've got the new posts and putting in a couple things I just figured it'd be worth mentioning that I like to do that I think is pretty helpful. So in these light sockets, I've got this little tool again. This came from PBR. It's just basically a little abrasive tool. They didn't send any instructions or anything with it, so you just have to kind of figure out. But what I should be pretty straightforward. But what I do is I will stick this in here and kind of scrub part of the contacts on the inside of the socket, even kind of go around the outside of the perimeter. I don't know that part's going to really do that much help, because when you put in a bulb, of course, it's making contact, right there on the tip. And then, yes, on the outside, it's, these little pins are really where it's kind of grabbing. So anyways, that's just one little thing I do to try to promote better conductivity, at least for the upper side of the contact or upper side of the socket. If they're really bad, I end up having to just replace sockets for other reasons. If the other side of the socket's all bad, you have to deal with that. The other thing I want to mention, so here's an example of some games where there is an adjustment. They typically refer to it as either conservative or liberal, and it's not to be political. It's just totally about is this allowing balls to drain real easily, or is it less easy? And so the way that they do that, you'll see that there's a hole here, which was a lot bigger than that other one, just because that's where the stud has been the whole time, and that's probably where I intend to actually screw it back. But what I could do is, instead of putting it here, I could put it here. And the plastic that goes back on is designed to be able to accept that in either way. So I'll just kind of set this without this actually on there for now. Put that in place. You'll see that it's slotted right here. Right here on the end, it's kind of hard to see. There you go, the better reflection. So it'll allow you could be in either position, and it would still all fit. But for us, we're going to put it back in the spot that it always was in, which will actually keep the ball more in play, because it's a little tighter here than opening it up and promoting easier drains. I guess the reason why they would do this is if the game just were going on, or say like in an arcade, you're wanting to drain it out a little quicker, that would be a way to do it. So, all right, let's go ahead and throw the new band on. We got to watch these little leaf springs, make sure we don't get it messed up. Okay, so now I'm actually just kind of eyeballing them to see how much of a gap that's already there, and it's really not that bad. I might close that one up just a little, but I've got a tool that I can reach in there and bend it some, and I'll go ahead and clean those, and then we'll throw the plastic back on. Okay, got that side cleaned out. So you can see, look how dirty that ended up being, and that was even after scrubbing it with that little special tool I had that's sort of an abrasive. So kind of helps to get the rest a little bit of the dirt, or at least more of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and put a plastic back on. I need to grab the acorn nuts. Set them over here to the side. Here we go. Let's put these back on. Sometimes these are threaded on, sometimes they're a push on. It kind of depends on the game. These are threaded. So there we go. All right, let's just turn this on, and I'll hit a start again. Let's just kind of see how this looks. Just kind of get a little bit of a sneak peek. See how things are going to start looking. Okay, kind of hard to tell here, but that side you should tell it's a little bit brighter, kind of filling out the colors a little bit more. The bulbs that were in it before were actually, I think, had been replaced at some point because they were not too bad dirty. And these kind of like these, but even still between the two, you can see it throws a little more light out, just a little brighter. So I'm going to proceed on with doing the rest of the plastics all through here, and then we'll just take a look at it and see how it looks. So I got more of it done. Most of the left side has all been done, including, you can tell that pop bumper is quite a bit brighter looking than that one. At least here, coming out in the camera, it looks that way. You see the upper two left guides; those are lighting up a little bit more. Also went ahead, I've kind of jumped ahead on this back box, and I've replaced every light that's in there with it's a warm white frosted bulb. Let me actually put the light back on and kind of show you a little bit of a difference what it looks like in here. Sometimes if the light's out and the way this camera records, it's a little misleading. But one thing I just figured I'd note is I chose to go with frosted bulbs. Let me just go ahead and hit a few more of these targets to kind of light everything up. Did I get every one of them? I think so. Okay, so I've got all the cards lit. King looks a little dim. I might check on that one. Actually, in real life, it doesn't look too bad. Frosted bulb, warm light bulbs in everywhere except up here. I actually went with a clear bulb just because they puts out just a little bit more light. And the reason I go with the frosted is that if it's shining back on some, well, if it's shining on just like a white surface, like all around through here, you really will notice kind of like a halo that it shows. It has to do something with the dome, I guess, on that LED where it puts out that image. But if you have frosted, it helps kind of hide that. But the trade-off with the frosted is it's not quite as bright. So, and also up here where it says tilt, this is like a little thing I like to do. Normally, when you hit tilt, that light will just come on solid. And so what I've got now, it's just actually just a blinking bulb, just so it kind of gets your attention a little bit more. You know, when you tilt the game, you look up and say, "Oh, okay, I see what happened." You know, and recover from it. So, anyways, I'm gonna work on finishing up all these lights, and then we'll see how it looks. And there we have it. We have changed out all of the lane guides, all of the rubber bands with silicone bands. Every bulb has been swapped over with an LED. Polished sections of the play field, well, not sections, just actually the whole play field. I will come back later and just put another little uh, coat of wax on top of it just to kind of protect it a little bit more. Um, but we've also, I'll look coming down here at the bottom. I went ahead and swapped out the actual flipper bats because you can just take the screws out the top on these, and the plastic bats just lift right off. The rest of the flipper mechanism hasn't been touched yet, and it needs a good full rebuild. But folks, we're going to save that for next time. I appreciate you guys for watching and all the comments. We will see you guys next time.